Welcome to Calculations. I'm Gary Johnson, your host. This is number 4 in our 4-part series on domestic violence and abuse with Mildred Muhammad. I consider this like a master class. So Mildred, welcome back to the show. Update us and tell us what's been going on since we last got together.
Well, since we last got together, domestic violence is still happening. There has not been a change. It has increased, as a matter of fact. Just had one, I think I sent you the link to, and excuse me, a woman in Alabama was stabbed and almost decapitated because her husband asked her to be intimate and she said no. So he killed her. And so there are other stories that are coming about where women are being killed, but men are victims too. We don't hear about it so much. But men are victims too, mostly from emotional abuse, not so much physical. And so I've written a new book. It's called In the Midst of Chaos, Home is the Most Dangerous Place to Be, with 12 other authors from all over the world who have contributed their stories. And one of them is a man, because when men speak up, it's not always recognized, or it's not held in the same esteem as it is when women are abused. Most times when men speak out and they are victims, the audience laughs because their attitude is, why would you let that little girl do that to you? You're a man, you're supposed to do this or that. But a lot of men are taught not to hit women. And most times women who are with them know that, and unfortunately take advantage of their discipline in not striking back. So
I've actually seen that. I've actually seen that where a woman pretty much, she was behaving as if she was pretty sure that her boyfriend was not going to hit her because of the same cultural conditioning. That you're not supposed to hit a woman, and she just kept going on him, even pushing him and talking to him, and he just kept trying to walk away, and he did. But I'm like, wow.
Not everybody does. There are some instances I've seen. Yes, ma'am.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to validate a point that you made about the male victims. I wrote this down. Male victims of sexual harassment do not speak up. And when I used to do the class, and I talk about male sexual harassment, the men would say, yeah, we want it. And, and so it was a whole different flavor. So I understand. I must validate the point with you.
Absolutely. Men are just looked upon as being the protectors, the providers, the strength. They don't have a space to where they can be vulnerable and cry and express their emotions, to where they're not looked upon as being too sensitive and weak. And so I remember a song back in the day, I think it was The Temptation, that said, I want to go outside in the rain, because men cry in the rain.
Dramatics.
Right.
Dramatics.
Because men cry in the rain.
Temptations also did it.
Right. And so you don't know if he's crying or just the rain hitting him in the face. And men cry alone. They don't always have a safe place in order to deposit their emotions with their partner or anybody. They basically hold it in.
But isn't this a correlation to the whole concept that men have to be macho and the women have to be quiet?
Correct.
And subvert, what I want to say?
Yes, ma'am.
Submissive.
Thank you.
Submissive.
Okay, thank you. I speak for a living. And that, this goes with this whole myth, this whole stereotype we all live with all lives that we know to be false.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Come on in, Kwame.
Mildred, I want to thank you for level setting this whole conversation, because you've got both sides. Now, clearly, a man who snaps is something that we have to deal with.
Nobody snaps.
Yeah.
Nobody snaps.
Yeah.
Wait, whoa. We mean nobody snaps.
Nobody snaps. There's a buildup. We missed the buildup. And once it get to a point where I can't take it anymore, that's what you call snapping? No,
That's
that's what
where
I
I'm going.
call getting retribution or trying to get somebody to listen to me. And then by then we're saying, oh, they crazy, they did this, they did that. But you didn't see the first time this person felt disrespected or hurt. You didn't see the second time. You didn't see the third time. You didn't see the fourth times, and
No,
so
no,
on.
I,
and so on.
I agree with
So
you.
nobody snaps is either premeditated or it's just reached a boiling point to where I need to say something or strike out in order to get your attention. Nobody snaps. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not going to debate your definition of it. I use the word that's commonly used, snapped. But I appreciate your clarification of that, because a snap, it doesn't happen overnight. It's a buildup, like you said. It's a buildup, and some people can't handle it. But yeah, I will take under advisement the term snap. I will not use it in that context anymore.
Yes,
The
sir.
holidays. I've always heard domestic violence goes up during the holidays.
Mhm.
What can you tell us about that?
Well, I think the last question I asked, and I don't know if everyone was on here, but I'll ask the question again and see if anybody knows the answer. What is the most dangerous holiday for domestic violence?
I'm thinking Christmas.
Nope.
Valentine's Day,
Nope.
Oh,
Thanksgiving.
Nope.
New Year's?
Nope.
What about any day?
There is one day.
There is one day.
There
Okay,
is
see,
one, there
this
is
is
one
not a trick
holiday.
question. Okay.
This is not a trick question.
Easter.
Nope.
Okay. I'm just through all the holidays. Let's see.
4th of July.
Nope.
4th of July.
Mm-mm.
Father's
All right,
Day.
Mildred, you just gonna have to
Father's
just
Day. Father's Day
Father's Day.
Yes. That,
is the worst holiday for domestic violence. It goes up tremendously on Father's Day. Nobody pays attention to it. Nobody wants to talk about that side of Father's Day because we're trying to recognize those men that have stepped up or that are doing the job that a father should do. We don't want to take away from that. It's not mentioned, but Father's Day is the worst holiday.
What is the
For domestic
psychology? What is the psychology behind that?
The psychology behind that is, so I, as a father, I'm looking for a certain gift, or I'm looking for accolades, or I'm looking to be taken out to dinner, or whatever the case may be, and I may get a pair of socks, or I may get a belt, or I may get a tie, or I may get whatever the gift is not measuring up to my expectations, so I'm taking it out on everybody. And that's how that happens. Because the expectation was not met.
Wow.
Same thing with the holidays, but all the rest of them. Just Father's Day is the worst one, but Thanksgiving, that's when you come with family members, and then, the victim may decide, I'm not gonna wear makeup today and let y'all see what's gonna happen to me. Sometimes they do that so that they can bring attention to what's been happening. There are a lot of victims that suffer in silence during the holidays, and they will send a signal if you're paying attention. They will drop a hint if you're paying attention. They will, but they're not just gonna come out and say, hey, he or she is abusing me and I need help. Because if it's a family member, I don't know if you're gonna turn against your family. You may love the abuser more than you love me and you my sister, right? Because that happens. Or you may invite the abuser over knowing that I'm coming, but you love the abuser more than you love me. It's still part of the family. We just want to invite family over, not having any type of sensitivity that, hey, I'm afraid this person is gonna hurt me or do this to me. It's just the point, oh, it's family, you should get over that. That was years ago. I don't even know why you're still tripping about that. I'm still tripping because you keep inviting him or her over, and I don't want them here. But you don't seem to care, even though I've expressed that, I've said that verbally out loud, and you still prefer to bring this person into the family fold. And so what do? I'm either gonna leave or I'm gonna go in another room. And what would your response be? I don't even know why you tripping. Girl, that's been years ago. Come on up in here with the family. Come on, sit at the table. Come sit up. Come on, have a drink. You know, it's just family. Can't you just ignore all of that until, it's just family. Get over it. But you didn't help me to get over it. You didn't even help me when I was in the situation. You helped him or her. You told them I was crazy. You took their side. But I got to be okay with it because you're okay with it. Because you love the abuser more than you love me. Okay.
Let me back up for a minute. What are some
Wow.
of the signals that they may send?
Who?
The
Who may
victim.
send?
The victim.
To drop a hint?
Yeah, that there's something wrong or something,
Oh, no,
some
they're not gonna
abuse
say that.
going on.
They'll say, Gary, you know there's something different about John? You say, no, he okay. Oh, okay. Just
Okay.
subtle. Be subtle. You may see my shirt's torn or yeah, he tore my shirt and I don't even know why. That's a signal. He tore my shirt and I don't even know why. Why you got that black eye? What's going on? You ran into, I just ran into a door. Sometimes we can visit. I went to an event and this woman walked into the restaurant and she was physically, she had all the physical scar, busted lip, black eye, arm was bruised. She wore a tank top, string, what you call it? Just a sling on the shoulder.
Halter top?
No,
Whoops.
it was a summer dress. So it was like just a little strapless dress, a strap dress, right?
Okay,
And she
spaghetti
walked
strap.
in. Yes, thank you. Praise the Lord. Thank you. Spaghetti strap. So she walked in and black eye, Bruce, nobody did anything. I said, ma'am, are you okay? She said, no, I'm not. I said, would you like, how can I help you? So I'm just trying to get some help. I need somebody to call the police for me. Nobody else stepped up to her. They just looking at her like, oh, well, because we don't want to get involved. We don't want to, that's their drama. That's over there. I don't want it over here. I got a good life going on over here. I don't want to help nobody. I don't want to call nobody. I just, that's for somebody else to do. I ain't got time for it, So that's when it's called, am I my brother and my sister's keeper? If you see someone that's in an abusive situation, what would you do? Because it's presented all the time in subtle ways in all families. It's either verbal or it's physical, but it's there. You may hear your partner talking to their partner in a harsh way, and you think, what do I do about that? You can say, hey, come, can I talk to you for a minute? Take that person outside and give them some air. Is there anything happening that I can help you with? Because it sounds like you're not having a good time. It sounds like you are going in on, no, it sounds like you're not having a good time. I just want to make sure are you okay? You can do that where you don't feel like you have to pinpoint that this person is being abusive, because we don't want to get it. We don't want to address the abuser, but we'll ask the victim, why do you stay? Why do you stay with him or her? They doing that, right? Let me tell you, every victim know they're being abused. You ain't got to remind them. They see it every day. They feel it all the time. You don't have to remind me that I'm a victim of domestic abuse and violence. I'm pretty much aware of that. But what I'm watching is, what are you going to say to the abuser? Because you're so interested in me. You're so interested in trying to tell me what to do. Why don't you talk to the abuser? Why don't you go to the abuser and say, hey, why are you terrorizing your family? Hey, I see you talking to him or her so harshly. Why do you do that? No, you're not going to do that because you're just as afraid of the abuser as I am. So what do? You attack the victim, because I'm already beat down.
That's interesting, because a couple of years ago, a friend of mine, we were talking about another friend who we believe was body shaming his wife.
Okay.
And that was kind of, it kind of stood out. And so we called him to the side and said, what's going on here? And he was just complaining. I'm just complaining. But I'm like, nah, man, this sounds like more than complaining. And I mean, to be candid, I also said, look here, Rerun, you got some nerve to be body shaming somebody.
Not Rerun.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I had to get to him. You got to talk to him in a
On that
manner that
level,
they
right?
can
You got to
understand.
talk to where they understand, right?
Yeah, the way they understand it.
Right.
But to make a long story short, he did pull up because 2 of his friends called him out on it. And whether or not he was aware consciously or not, he did say that, you know, after 2 of us, both of us probably couldn't be wrong. And it seemed to have worked or turned around. We didn't, or either he just went underground, but we haven't heard anything bad about that.
What happened was you shamed him because you called him out, right? Because men don't call men out. So he felt what he was doing was right. And because he felt he was doing it right, he kept doing it until y'all pulled him aside and said, hey, what's up? Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Caused him to look at himself. And that's something men don't do with other men. Now, there are some men that say, oh, well, we check him, but you don't see that. But then they check him and then they leave him alone. You know, he's not a part of our circle anymore. Okay, but he's still doing that. So what do you do? You leave him alone, but now he's still on me. So are you going to help me? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, but it's another side to this. I hear you and I totally agree with you. But, you know, have any of you ever been in a situation where you called someone on a behavior for somebody and the other person takes up for the person?
Absolutely, they do
Okay.
it all the time. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so you feel,
Yes,
you feel like, all right, they're ready to kick your butt because you got into their business, you know.
That's right. Yes, ma'am.
You
They
know
do
what,
it
I'm
all
butt kicked,
the time. That's
But
one of the reasons why other people don't get involved, because if I help you, all you're going to do is go back.
But this is the reason why I wanted to listen to you and I will read your book. When I lived in St. Louis, Missouri, I'll never forget this as long as I live. My next door neighbor, who was a gorgeous woman. Oh, I mean, she, you know, and she had this guy, and I didn't know that he was beating up on her. And I heard a terrible knock at my door around 1 o'clock in the morning. And she's coming to me with this black eye, her lip is busted. And she comes in and she says, close the door immediately because he's right behind it. And I closed the door and I wouldn't. And then I went on and called the police. Okay. And, but this is what I remember. And this is why I want to listen to you. I was taking care of her face so that she work the next day.
Right.
And this is what she said. The next time this happens. And I said, what do you mean? You know, it was like, no, he's, as far as I'm concerned, you know, but her reply was the next time. In other words, this might happen again, or I'll be prepared if this happens again. And that scared me more.
Right. So you don't know what thoughts he put in her head. As beautiful as she is or was, he resented and hated her for that beauty because he knew that other men were watching her too, and he didn't trust her. Okay. So what do you do to something that's beautiful? You destroy it. So he always went for the face because the face is what attracted him. So if the face attracted him, then the face will attract other men too.
Oh, wow.
When she said the next time, you were probably one that helped her. You opened the door. She was probably completely shocked that you opened the door because she probably knocked on other doors too and nobody answered because that's what happens, right? And so the next time, is she going back? Because the thoughts are, you're not gonna find nobody better than me, depending on where she is in her life, her age, what she has going on. This man is the best I can get. So I'm just gonna work with him. Yeah, he got some rough edges, you know, I can help him to clear that out, but He's the best I can get. So I'm not going anywhere. I'll go through the abuse. I'll go through the pain. I'll go through the hurt. But that's because I don't love myself enough to leave him. I poured all of my love, all of my essence and my being into this person. And so I am nothing. When you hear I am nothing without you, because I've poured all my value into you. So I'm nothing without you. If you leave me, I will fall apart. If you leave me, I don't know what I'm going to do because I am nothing without you.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you for that. Clear.
Mildred, does the same thing happen with money? In other words,
Economic abuse.
controlling the
Economic.
money.
Because there are many women in prison right now for killing their abuser because he was holding their money against them. Or she goes to work, he brings home the check and gives it over to him. And she has no life. You got CEOs, you got women in power. When they get home, they have no power. He ain't got nothing to do. They just go home, get a check to him, and he ain't working. He ain't doing nothing. He ain't keeping the house clean. Maybe playing video games. But he got her so stressed out. I mean, I think it was one on Wall Street. It was a woman who she went home and she was killed. Come to find out, she was doing all of the work, and the man was just sitting at home doing nothing. And again, they want to make domestic violence a poverty issue so that the masses don't understand how dangerous this issue really is. This is a social disease, but if I have a physical ailment, you'll come to my aid as quickly as possible. I mean, you're coming all the way from California just to take care of my dog and help him to eat. But I tell you, I'm a victim of domestic violence. You're like, well, why you stay? I mean, it's like you signed up for this. I did not sign the dotted line of a marriage or be involved with a partner to be beaten. That was not on the agenda for me. Now, it may have been on the abuser's agenda because I really didn't know him or her, because as always, we meet the rep, right? We meet the rep, the representative. We don't meet the real person until 3 to 6 months later. Then when that person come out, it's like, whoa. But you're so emotionally attached. You've invested so much time, money, and energy. I'll just work with it. Depending on your age too. Because at a certain age, I ain't trying to be by myself. I want companionship. I want somebody. I don't want to. This world is crazy, right? I got to have some kind of protection or somebody who got my back or partially got my back a little bit.
We have Janice. Janice has a question.
Yes, I just wanted to comment when Ms. Muhammad mentioned economic status, and we assume that all the domestic violence is in the lower financial echelon. When I worked at Sara Lee Corporation, there was a huge event at a theater, and many of us went. The next morning, the CFO came in, and she was battered and bruised, and she said when we left the event that she was mugged. And we genuinely believed that until 2 years later when she divorced her husband, and that's when she admitted to us. And that was a $1 billion corporation. She was CFO. She admitted to us when she got home, he beat her.
Beat her for talking to other people, beat her for eating too much food, beat her for walking around, beat her for not being at his beck and call.
Beat her for being successful.
That's it. Cannot outdo me. You cannot be better than me. I need to tear you down. I'm gonna take you off that pedestal you think you're on all the time.
Anybody else? Okay. Mildred, I came across a term or an acronym that I was not familiar with. I thought it was a medical term for some type of disease or something. I guess I'm showing my ignorance, but I'm just being honest. IPV. And then I later learned it was intimate partner violence.
Correct.
Is that a politically correct term, or what's your take on this? Help me out.
Intimate partner violence is a new term that is being used so that every gender can feel inclusive when we're talking about domestic violence. Instead of saying him and her, now we are saying intimate partner. Because an intimate partner could be same sex, it could be man, woman, the traditional man and woman, right? It could be a boyfriend that has left and trying to come back and hurt you. That's still that he was an intimate partner at one point in time. So it covers a wider spectrum of people instead of just man and woman.
Okay, all right. So we talked about the money. Didn't I see an article, I think it's last month, on in the Washington Post, featuring your story? Was that 20
Yes.
years? Okay.
Yes. It was 20 years. It was 20 years for the shootings, but it was 22 years for my survival. And that's the part they keep leaving out. They want to always make people believe that John and Lee were in a Chevy, came to DC area to embezzle the government of $10 million and put it on a stolen credit card. Because that's the story they tell everybody else. But they do not want you to believe that it was a man that came cross country to kill his ex-wife in order to get custody of his children. That is the true story behind the DC sniper shootings. Because you would believe, the $10 million story, but you're not going to come all the way over here to kill her and take her children. I mean, come on. That's pretty far-fetched.
But the 10 million, more.
10 million, you believe that? I mean, we see true crime on TV all the time, right? We believe that. We believe the police are the ones that give the narrative to the media to tell the story. So whatever the police say, that's what they don't disagree with the police until they do their own investigation into what they've been told to find out if it's the truth. But even in that, you didn't hear much about me and my children and what happened to us. You only heard that of the stories that here. You don't even hear about the shootings that took place in Washington State, Nevada, and Louisiana.
Okay. Janice, come on back.
Yes, have you challenged the media on this? Have you written in? Have you done things to highlight the essence of the story, the truth of the story?
Oh man, that's too much energy.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because the media is going to print what the media is going to print. All they're looking for ratings, sensationalization of every story. And if it doesn't comply with what they are striving to get, which are ratings, then they don't want to have any part of it. That's why when they report a story and they find out it's not true, they put the truth, they bury it in the paper. You'll never see it unless somebody tells you, hey, look on page 3, and you'll see that they retracted their story. They're not going to tell you that. There's no money in it. It's always the bottom line. So the bottom line is not to tell you that I was the intended target. The police knew that. They told me. They didn't tell the media that I was the target. Not till 10 years later.
Wow. I just got a text message. Someone wants me to ask you, what is the real story with Lee Boyd Malvo?
No,
In other words, she was saying that she heard that he was somehow related to you all.
no.
I never heard that.
There's so many stories out there. Everybody got to have their take on the DC sniper story. Lee was, from my understanding, his mother was going from island to island looking for work. And she met John and asked John to take care of Lee. John brought Lee into the family, meaning he and the children, because he took them and I didn't know where they were in Antigua. He brought him in as the big brother. And so Lee and our children were best friends at that time. John was established, that's a better word, established a false company where he would create birth certificates, passports, and was able to get airline tickets, was selling it to the individuals for $3,000. He would bring them from the Caribbean to the United States, shake their hand, say, welcome to America. Stay here and look for me. And when he couldn't find me, go back to Antigua. While in Antigua, Lee was taking care of John, Selena, and Taliba until he got back. That's how that. So once the police found out what John was doing, they shut that down, arrested him. He broke out of jail, got the children, came back to the States, first to Florida, then to Washington State. Lee was able to come over to the United States and meet John in Washington State. So he was my children's best friend.
Okay.
That's how that came about.
Wow. Did you say John broke out of jail?
I knew you'd get on that part. Yes.
I mean, oh, no, okay.
You know, it wasn't much, from my understanding, wasn't much of a prison where they had the doors were not locked.
Okay.
Like they do over here, it's real easy.
Oh, okay. So it's like Mayberry, where Otis, you just reach out and get the key
Right.
and let yourself
Something
in
like
and out.
that. Correct.
Okay.
Mayberry, RFD, RFD.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. I want to put the focus, if I can, and someone else break in and ask a question on what we can do when people come to us for help.
They're not going to come. Then you think I'm just going to walk up to you and say, hey, Gary, I'm a victim of domestic violence. Can you help me? You actually think I'm going to do that? I'm not doing that. I don't trust you. I don't know what you're going to do. You know John. You may go back and tell John what I just said. I'm not doing that.
Okay, so
everybody knows somebody who is or was a victim of domestic violence. Everybody. 80% of victims do not have physical scars. It's no way you have not met someone. It's no way you didn't know. You may not have known what to do. You may not have known how to approach it, but you knew. Everybody.
I'm wrestling with that. I'm not the statistics, but maybe we don't always recognize the hints or the signals.
Because they give them. We give them. And then, there are some times when you may have been the one that somebody actually did come up, and then you said, oh, well, I don't know them to do that. They don't appear to be that kind of person. I mean, are you sure? You maybe you're mistaken, because this person is the this and the that and the that, and
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I mean, I call that the Eddie Haskell effect. I'm showing my age, or Leave It to Beaver, but the person who's just the suck up in the neighborhood, who just one side. Okay. But when you get to the point where someone has come to you because they trust you, you've picked up on the signals, and they're asking for help, either directly or indirectly. I'm assuming directly. What should we say or do to not violate that trust or to really help them?
So the first question you should ask is, how can I help you? Because if they say, I need help, well, I don't know what kind of help you need. So how can I help you? That question right there is going to stump them, because they're not expecting you to ask, how can I help? Many victims are told what to do and how to do it, but nobody asks, how can I help you? Now, once you say that and they tell you what they need, be honest and just say, I'm not able to do that, but what else do you need? And you just keep going until you see something or they've said something to you that you would want to help them with. Now, they may come up with, I need $1,000. You know, you're not going to give them $1,000 and just say it. Don't say, I don't have it. Just say, what else can I do? Money is not available right now. Say that. Don't say I ain't got it. Because most people that, when a victim hear I don't have it, that means you don't have it for me, but you got it. So I'm saying, just say, you don't have it for me, but you got it, right? That's what you're saying. So just say, money is not available right now. But how else can I help you? And once you get them to feel comfortable in that, okay, well, if the money's not available, they're still offering to help, then let me try to pinpoint exactly what I need from them. And if you find that there's absolutely nothing you can do, at least give them the domestic violence hotline number, and that's 800-799-7233. Don't leave them without a resource. Even though you can't help them, just step aside, give them information that other people can help them. Don't just leave them out there in the wilderness crying for help. Give them something.
Okay.
But if you know someone that's a victim of domestic violence and you don't know what to do and you see they're in pain and you're sitting at home twiddling your thumbs trying to figure out exactly what can I do? Okay, so the first thing you can do is set your boundaries. Ask yourself what I can do, what I won't do, and what I will do. Those 3 questions. If you have a significant other, talk to that person about it, because 2 heads are better than 1, you know? So then you take that person to lunch, not dinner, because dinner time is checked and it's getting dark at 4 o'clock right now. And you don't want to be responsible or want to feel responsible because the next day you see your family member or your friend beaten up and she says, or he says, well, it was because I was out late with you and now that's why, this happened. You don't want that kind of burden on your head. So take them to lunch. The world is open. We can go to lunch. While you're in lunch, you know this person is a victim of domestic violence. They know they are victims of domestic violence. Don't say, can I ask you a question? Because when somebody asks you that, your guards go up quickly. In the midst of having dinner or lunch, just ask, how can I help you? That's all you say. Don't say, I can do this, I can do that, because whatever you think you want to do to help them may not be of any help at all. So let them tell you what you can do to help. And then you can decipher how much you can help because you have your boundaries in check. And again, if you can't do anything, leave them with a resource. 800-799-7233. I'm so glad on these commercials, the ones that I see and on paperwork, that they don't say 800-799-SAFE. I mean, I have to take the time out to spell SAFE on my phone while I'm getting beaten up. I mean, come on. Can I get the number? So that's good to see that they changed that. 800-799-7233.
Anybody else? Come on. If not, I'll ask some of the other questions that were emailed to me. Come on, Janice. You're on mute, Janice.
I know. Ms. Muhammad, I had a situation where I had some people in my home temporarily, and one of them was a relative. He was a bully, very tall, huge, and he said something foul to his wife, and I told him that he would not bring that hell in my house. And I stood up for her. And he said some other things, and I pointed out, I said, if you were a foot shorter and 100 pounds lighter, would you behave in the manner that you do? And he had to acknowledge no, but the next day she turned against me. Now I stood up for her, and he had taken her purse away, had it in the car so she couldn't go anyplace. And I stood up for her, and for the next 2 or 3 weeks, they were all lovey-dovey. Now she calls me back just a few days ago and said, I need a break. I was not so, and I didn't make any comment one way or the other. I just continued talking because I wasn't so willing to engage in that again because I could get the same behavior. I'm not sure what to do.
So she called you and said she needed a break from what? From
She
him?
just said, I just need to take a break. Well, they were living in my house temporarily until they could find their own place. They've now found their own place.
And so now she needs a break to come back to your place?
She didn't say that. She just said, I need a break.
Well, that's what she was implying.
Yes, yes,
Right.
yes.
No, no, you cannot come back. What you experience is what a lot of people experience when they try to step up to help a victim of domestic violence, because what happens is, and I don't know their ages, but if he's the breadwinner and she's relying heavily upon his income, then yeah, you were a threat to losing that income. You were a threat to him leaving. And he probably went to her and said, if it wasn't for her, or because of her, I'm going to do A, B, C, and D. And she can't talk to me like that. And she disrespected me. And so he, in turn, expected her to defend him on his behavior because she's trying to save the bottom line.
Right.
And that's why a lot of women don't leave, is because they don't have the money. They don't have the money to leave.
And he did use the term that I had disrespected him. I said, not
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You know, I did share with him, you know, I think bullies sometimes need to get a punch back in the chest. So I said to him, I have lived in Chicago for 36 years, a single Black woman. If I was a punk, I would not have made it. So don't mess with me.
And you challenged his manhood.
Yes.
In front of his wife, which meant you were giving her ideas to defend herself. You were a threat to him, and he had to get rid of that. You were a threat. She saw a woman stand up to her husband. She probably never saw that before. And you did it, and you still here, and you didn't get hit. You didn't get a lashing. You didn't get anything. You know what? I can do that. I can do that. And she probably spoke up for herself, and he said, don't act stupid. So
Well,
she had to come back to where he put her, where he conditioned her to be, so that he can continue with the behavior. Yeah, they were lovey-dovey in your face,
right.
But you don't know what was happening in that bedroom.
Right, right. Well, I have two big brothers on the line that would have taken care of him. I had confidence. I had women.
Oh, absolutely, no doubt. But he wasn't going to hit you because you were stronger than him. He's used to weak women, or women that he conditioned to be weak. He didn't know how to take you. So he had to be straight and say, yeah, you know, if I was that, then yeah. So he had to send his wife to do the work. You were a threat, straight up, to the way he had his house running. No, I was supposed to go to China, waiting for my visa. I'm sitting in, excuse me, I'm sitting in the waiting room because I already had my ticket, waiting to go. And they came back and said, yeah, you can't go. What? Well, I can't go. They went and researched me. Excuse me, I said, yeah, no, she can't come over here. She gonna have these women standing up for themselves. So I couldn't go. You helped her to see what it is to stand up to him. A very good example on how to do it. You were respectful too, but he looked at it as a threat. Straight up.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any final questions in the time we have remaining?
Excuse me.
Mildred, how are your children doing?
Oh, they're great. Selena was married earlier this year.
I saw that. Yeah.
AJ, John is getting married in May in the Dominican Republic. And Taliba's in a healthy relationship. So they're all doing good. They're all working, being assets to the community. They're great. No problem.
lot of that goes to you, because I remember you was going to that library playing psychologist.
I had to get a book on counseling to learn how to counsel it myself, because couldn't find an ethical counselor. Everybody wanted to be on TV talking about the DC sniper's children and what the DC sniper's wife, although they know I was his ex-wife, they still said wife, because why? Wife sells papers, ex-wife doesn't. It's all financial.
Miss Muhammad, my grandmother had a saying. She
I'm
had
sorry?
a saying. My grandmother had a saying that you don't look like what you've been through. You look fabulous, and you have a sense of peace and calm about you
Yes,
that is just beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. I owe it all to God, because I'm telling you, I could have been out of my head a whole lot of times, but I just went to the Bible and Quran and found examples of prophets or others who were going through something similar or close to what I was experiencing. And one of the stories is with Joseph, when Joseph was put in a pit and his brother said that he was dead, and the father, Jacob, he said, I'm not believing that, I still feel him, that he's still alive. In the Quran, it says that his sons went to him and said, and so this how I do scripture with my children, say, so his sons went to him and say, yo, Dad, why you always tripping because Joseph is gone? I mean, you got 11 sons right here. What's going on with that? Why are you always complaining and crying and wailing and all of that stuff? What's going on? And so Jacob said, I complain only to God, because he knew the complaining that he was doing was falling on deaf ears. They would never understand the emotional turmoil he was going through because his son was missing. So that told me, stop. Nobody will ever understand the emotional turmoil I was going through when all three of my children were missing, and nobody would help me to find them. Nobody. And so with Hagar, after she got her son, she was traveling to and fro between the mountains. Well, the mountains means authority, right? So she was going to the authorities and trying to get help for her and her son, and nobody would help her. I was going to the authorities, trying to get help to find my children, trying to get help for me, and nobody would help me. And it wasn't until she put her son down that the river of Zamzam resources came to her. So I had to put that burden down about my children. And after that, that's when I started going to the library, trying to learn the law. I took paralegal courses in shelter. I was learning how to legally get control of my issues. I got divorced October 6, 2000 on my own. Washington State just passed a law stating that if you are a victim of domestic violence, you can leave the state without being charged with kidnapping, and you do not have to let the abuser know where you were going. I was the second person to use that law. I was able to get a lifetime restraining order. So I had all of my paperwork in order so that once I did get my children, because I knew I was going to get them back. I didn't know when, I didn't know how, I didn't know where I would be. But if anybody said anything negative to me about whether or not I was going to get my children, done. They were eliminated from my life. I could not have negativity around me at all, for no reason. I had to trust and believe in God's promises that he would bring my children back to me, and he did. So that's my testimony.
All right, Mildred, look, we have a 4-part series. This is part 4. I'm going to string all 4 together. I can't thank you enough for what you've done for the community and educating people who see this. I know from the analytics, people from all over the world have seen some of the other interviews and they get feedback from it. So
can I say one thing? 2 things?
Sure.
So I was awarded the 2022 Who's Who in America Albert Nelson Marquise Lifetime Achievement Award for the work that I do. And 40 years ago, September, I had to drop out of college in order to help my mom with her expenses. And I was able to get my bachelor's degree in psychology from Capella. So I'll be graduating next year. So
Congratulations.
40 years, but I got it.
Outstanding.
Congratulations.
So I am excited about that.
Janice, you want the last word?
No, that was an applause sign. I was applauding her.
Yes, yes, she's very, very clear and articulate and committed.
Thank
And
you.
that,
I am.
that's, well, that's the most important part of this. This is coming from real life experience. This is not theoretical.
Mhm. This is my mission. I believe that this is what I was put here to do, to bring more awareness to domestic abuse and violence for men and women. Men
Right.
and women.
That's why I said earlier on, I love the way you level set it. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Let's level set it the right way so we can have the right discussion.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. Because we can't leave one out and still have the other one suffering. They need help too.
Right.
Well, Mildred, I am going to have this ready for availability on social media. And I can't thank you enough. So,
Well, thank you.
wow, we'll have to do this again sometime.
Yes, we do. We had to do
Yeah.
another one. Call it something
Yes.
different. Mhm.
All right, I'm Gary Johnson for Calculations Talk Show. Everybody be safe out there. This will be
Okay.
available. You'll get a note where you can see this on all of our social media outlets.
Thank
Until
you, Gary.
then,
Okay,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Gary.
thank
Nice
you
meeting
much.
all of you.
Okay, see you
All
now.
right.
Bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.